seeing was people that were using alcohol and tobacco and stimulants were getting the same profound peace of mind, no cravings, no loss of energy, clarity of thinking, all these same benefits that people were getting from opiates, because opiates is such a physical addiction where the stimulants are so damaging to the way the mind operates and functions. And so, they're all different protocols and all different treatments. So it was so beneficial to be able to learn how to use this medicine to be able. So what it led to was sexual addictions, other obsessive compulsive behaviors, people that were on computers or people that were in shopping sprees, even chocolate. I mean, it was like all of a sudden we started realizing what's really happening is it's breaking the neural network of memory associated with compulsive, repetitive thought processes that are no longer even consciously being created. In other words, they're just happening unconsciously. You're going down the road, you're on your way to go pick up your girlfriend or your kids or something, and next thing you know, you're sitting in a bar and you're drunk and you're doing lines in a bathroom. So it was like, how does this happen? And then how are you supposed to repair that? Like, this isn't like talk therapy stuff. There has to be a physical change in the biochemistry, because the brain is just going, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I want to feel better. Okay, so what do you want me to do? Well, I'm going to use this to feel better. And the brain goes, okay, we know how to work with this. We'll take this, we'll create these proteins, we'll create these lipids, and you create a pathway of memory in the brain. And once that thing's in there, it gets paved, and then they open it up to 2 lanes. The next thing you've got is a 5-lane freeway going in there, and that you have no control, and that's addiction. That basically, that's a compulsive, repetitive, obsessive thoughts that are reoccurring and don't respond to reason, and that's the description of addiction. So somehow the Ibogaine was ripping apart that whole, and it literally does rip apart brain cells. It's taking apart that whole compulsive, obsessive. And I guess it has something to do with how like from the very beginning of this was, if you're not in your body, there's other entities and spirits that are going to take up residency. And so these elements have to be available, because people take opiates for medical reasons and they don't become stone cold junkies. So it was like seeing all of this as an observer, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist. I'm watching all of this, one as somebody who'd gone through it, but I'm seeing hundreds of people do this, and as an observer, trying to understand what are the actions that are taking place. What is it that's actually going on when somebody ingests this medicine under these conditions? And that's what our job is to create the conditions in the container and support them and prepare them and integrate them. But as an observer, this was so fascinating, because we were watching new science. We were watching something happen that wasn't believed could happen before. In other words, you were taking people who had mental health issues, for years on, prescription medications, people who had been on methadone or opiates for decades, people who had lost all their teeth from methamphetamine and never believed that they could ever be normal. And we were reversing the story. We were bending nature. And that was really something to be excited about and to be part of. It was like we were witnessing miracles. And it was really intense, because, of course, the characters that you're dealing with have a whole lifetime of distrust and any number of other situations. A lot of sex workers that had been abused, people that had to do a lot of self-sacrifice in order to maintain and take care of themselves. Now, I really believe that a lot of the addiction was self-medicating, and they just didn't know any other way to take care of themselves. And what was happening was it wasn't working anymore. And so these are some of the requirements that we started to now be able to make determinations. Now there's clinics that are following the standards and the safety protocols and have some good motives behind them. But there's safe places for people to go detox now. So now we're wanting to be able to see, okay, we've done all this observation, we've done all this work, we've learned up to this point. Now how can we best utilize the nature of this plant to assist people already on the road to recovery? In other words, I don't want to try to convince anybody that life is worth living. That was something that was a big role that we did for a long time, but it's like that part of our journey's over. And so to be able to work with people who are already on the road to recovery, which may or may not include actual doing the detox with them, but more and more wanting to steer people towards that direction, but to do the inner workings of what the core motivation around self-medicating and why somebody would have abandoned themselves younger and had adopted this way of life. So we're basically saving people's lives, but not in the sense of saving their life, but the time in their life. In other words, instead of 25 years of addiction to wait till it stops working, we can do 10 years and they can come to the same conclusion. So they're saving 10 years of their life of trying to find their way out of this thing. And what we're seeing is a lot of young people, like I said, Marika became a nurse, a long list of people who went into a professional life, got an education, got married, basically had a life that they never thought and dreamed that would actually happen for them, that they